Have you ever felt completely alone, as if every single person who once supported you suddenly disappeared? No encouragement, no guidance, no one to tell you that you are on the right path. Most people panic in this situation, but Carl Jung believed this is exactly the moment your real power begins to awaken, the hidden strength you never knew existed. Loneliness is something most people fear deeply. The moment we feel that no one is beside us, the mind immediately interprets it as failure or abandonment. But Carl Jung saw loneliness from a completely different perspective. He believed that certain stages of life require solitude because only in silence can a person truly meet themselves. When you're surrounded by people, expectations constantly shape your behavior. You try to meet roles, maintain images, and fulfill the expectations of others. Slowly, you begin living a life that looks correct on the outside, but feels strangely distant on the inside. Jung believed this is the power of the persona, the mask we wear to function in society. But when support disappears and you find yourself walking alone, that mask begins to fall away. At first, this feels uncomfortable. Without the noise of the outside world, you start hearing your own thoughts more clearly. Questions arise that you may have avoided for years. Are these goals truly mine? Am I living a life I actually chose? This moment of solitude is not a punishment. It is a psychological turning point. When the external world becomes quiet, your inner world finally has space to speak. And in that silence, the journey toward real self-understanding begins. When you begin spending more time alone, something unexpected starts to happen. It is not just silence that appears. Parts of yourself that you have avoided for years slowly begin to surface. Carl Jung called this hidden part of the psyche the shadow. The shadow contains everything we once rejected about ourselves. Anger we tried to hide. Jealousy we pretended did not exist. Fear we covered with confidence. In everyday life, these parts remain hidden because we are constantly distracted by work, relationships, and social approval. But when you are alone and external support disappears, there is nothing left to distract you. The shadow begins to reveal itself through uncomfortable emotions and reactions. At first, this confrontation can feel disturbing. Many people try to escape it by blaming others or forcing themselves to stay busy. Yet, Jung believed this moment is incredibly important. The shadow is not simply darkness or weakness. Hidden within it is a tremendous amount of psychological energy. When a person becomes aware of their shadow and accepts its existence, that energy stops working against them. Instead of sabotaging your progress, it begins to strengthen your awareness. Facing the shadow is not about becoming perfect. It is about becoming honest with yourself. And that honesty becomes a foundation of true inner power. Once you begin facing your inner world honestly, another layer of the mind slowly becomes noticeable. Beneath your conscious thoughts lies something deeper and far more powerful, the unconscious. Carl Jung believed that the unconscious constantly communicates with us, but most people never learn how to listen to it. In daily life, the mind is filled with noise. Work, responsibilities, social media, and endless conversations keep our attention focused outward. Because of this, the subtle signals coming from the unconscious are easily ignored. But when a person walks alone and external support disappears, that noise begins to fade. In this quiet space, the unconscious starts speaking in a different language, not through clear commands, but through feelings, instincts, and sudden insights. Sometimes it appears as a strange sense that a certain path no longer feels right. Other times it appears as a quiet attraction towards something new that you cannot fully explain. Jung believed these signals are not random. They are attempts from the deeper psyche to guide you toward a life that truly belongs to you. The problem is that many people become afraid of these feelings because they create uncertainty. But those who learn to observe these signals patiently begin to discover something important. The unconscious is not trying to confuse you. It is quietly guiding you toward your authentic direction. From childhood, most people learn to search for comfort outside themselves. When something hurts, we look for someone to talk to. When we fail, we hope someone will encourage us. When we feel lost, we wait for guidance from others. This habit slowly becomes part of our emotional structure. But life does not always guarantee that someone will be there. There are moments when you face difficulties completely on your own. During these moments, a very important psychological ability must develop: the ability to comfort yourself. Carl Jung believed that emotional maturity appears when a person can stay with their own pain without immediately trying to escape it. Instead of judging yourself for feeling weak or exhausted, you begin to treat yourself with patience and understanding. This does not mean pretending that everything is fine. It means allowing your emotions to exist without attacking yourself for having them. When disappointment appears, you acknowledge it. When sadness comes, you allow yourself to feel it instead of suppressing it. Over time, this practice creates a deep sense of inner stability. You realize that even when the world does not understand you, you still have a place within yourself where you can return. And this quiet inner support becomes stronger than any external encouragement. Every human life carries some form of pain. For some people it is rejection. For others it is failure, loss, or the quiet feeling of being misunderstood. Most people spend a large part of their lives trying to escape this pain. They distract themselves, ignore it, or try to forget it as quickly as possible. However, Carl Jung believed that pain is not simply an obstacle. In many cases, it is a powerful psychological force waiting to be transformed. The problem is not the existence of pain itself, but the way we react to it. When a person constantly tries to avoid suffering, the energy trapped inside that experience remains unresolved. But when someone becomes willing to face their pain honestly, something begins to change. Instead of draining their strength, that same pain can slowly become a source of motivation. Think of pain as a kind of raw energy. When ignored, it turns into bitterness, frustration, or self-doubt. But when understood, it becomes a reminder of how far you've already come. It pushes you to grow beyond the version of yourself that once felt powerless. Jung believed that true psychological growth often begins in moments of difficulty. Pain does not always come to destroy you. Sometimes it appears to push you toward a stronger and more conscious version of yourself. At this stage, many people believe that motivation and positive emotions are the key to success. They wait for the moment when they feel inspired, confident, and ready to act. But Carl Jung understood something deeper about human psychology. Emotions are powerful, but they are also unstable. There will be days when you feel motivated and full of energy. Everything seems possible, and taking action feels natural. But there will also be days when doubt appears. You feel tired, discouraged, and uncertain about the path you have chosen. If your actions depend entirely on these changing emotions, your progress will constantly rise and fall. This is why Jung emphasized the importance of willpower. Willpower is the ability to continue moving forward even when emotion is no longer supporting you. It does not ignore your feelings, but it refuses to let them control every decision. Imagine emotions as the weather. Some days are bright and clear, while others are dark and stormy. If you only continue your journey when the weather is perfect, you will never travel very far. But when your actions are guided by will rather than mood, you continue walking even when the sky is cloudy. And over time, this quiet discipline becomes stronger than temporary motivation. After moving through all these stages, something subtle but powerful begins to change inside you. At the beginning of this journey, the greatest fear was being alone. You believed that without support, encouragement, or recognition from others, it would be impossible to keep moving forward. But step by step, your perspective begins to shift. Through loneliness, you learn how to face yourself honestly. Through the shadow, you discovered parts of your personality that once controlled you from the dark. By listening to the unconscious, you started recognizing the quiet signals guiding your life. By learning to comfort yourself, you developed emotional stability that does not depend on the approval of others. And by transforming pain into motivation, you found energy in places where you once felt powerless. Eventually, a realization appears that changes everything. The strength you were searching for outside of yourself was never truly outside at all. It was always hidden within you, waiting for the moment when you would be forced to stand on your own. Carl Jung believed that real maturity begins when a person becomes their own foundation, not driven by fear or judgment, not dependent on constant encouragement, but guided by a quiet inner certainty. And once you reach that point, walking alone no longer feels like weakness. It feels like freedom.